I'm not against money because I think you need money. If you live on this earth, if anyone tell you money is bad, they don't like you. This is how I achieved a lot of things. So sometimes I don't care who's watching me. I didn't care because why should I care? What is your vision for your life? What are your goals? Go for it.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Let's get as much people with a different mindset. And this is why a lot of the time when people want to buy property, they have excuses. They don't want to do anything in life. Think about different things. All I get people to think about is what can I do right now to leverage. This is my own saying, temporary pain, maximum gain. So that got me really, really thinking. You can't disrespect that.
Welcome to another episode of the Diaries of Success. I am your host, Hajar, and I am loving the engagement you're giving us. I am loving the support. Keep that coming. It really means a lot to us, and I appreciate it with my whole team. My whole team is putting a lot of effort into making this show as pleasant and as fun as possible. So thank you. I want to thank you very, very much for all the love and support you're showing me. Well, without any further ado, my guest today is a very genuine guy, someone I really find myself enjoying the conversations to have with. We don't really notice how the time flies. He's got an amazing heart. He loves helping people. He's gone from being in banking to being a property consultant. So I have with me Mr. Moses Bright from Announced Property. Moses, hi.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for...
How you doing?
I'm awesome.
Are you ready to be, we call it like the seat, like an electric chair, Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
We're going to have an hour of fun. I want to get to know you more. I want our audience to get to know you more.
Brilliant.
I want to know a little bit about your journey, what you have faced, what you've done. How can you still be the amazing person you are today, even in a world of chaos? So who is Moses Bright and where did your journey start?
So thank you again. Thank you very much for having me on here. So Moses Bright is a person who truly cares for people. It's just a natural nature. And from that point on, what led me to where I am right now was literally just looking at what is my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing I would like to achieve or do so I can add value to people? And it got me thinking many years ago. And one of the things I could see myself being drawn to was property. I wasn't too sure how I was going to help a lot of people because obviously you have people who have property education, but that wasn't what I wanted to get into. I wanted the nitty gritty. Like, what can I do to be hands on? And from thinking, it got me thinking when I was working, did a lot of customer service, and customer service means a lot to me. And then from then I thought, one way I can actually help people is to get them in, get them on the property ladder. And I wanted to master that. And that's what I've been doing so far.
Beautiful. So you were in banking.
Yes.
You were a banker.
Mm-hmm.
How did you change? It's completely two different worlds.
Yes.
One is, having to deal with numbers and having to deal with, I would say, the back end of the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, all bankers, but I find it really boring. To be in property, helping people, loving what you're doing, supporting. Property is a people's business.
Yes.
And so you are. So how was it, the transition?
So what literally happened was, while I was in banking, funny enough, I spoke to a lot of people in property. And where I was working at that time, we're talking about up to 2015.
Yeah.
Most of my clients, because I was a personal banker, a lot of my clients were homeowners. They were also from the Jewish background, and I had my office. So it was a good time to, you had your time away. So I started asking questions. A lot of them said to me how they bought their property, a long time ago.
Oh.
And now it's not worth about 1 million, 1.2. And that just got me thinking. And I remember a client of mine said to me, he said, if there's something I want you to do is make sure you buy your first home and then scale from there. So I asked him, why would you want me to buy my first home? Why don't I keep renting? And he said, no, don't rent. If you keep renting, you're paying someone else's mortgage. Or if you buy a home, you can use that home to leverage. So I started speaking to the mortgage broker in the bank, who was, did a lot of mortgage application, and he would tell me that, that people was just struggling. And I couldn't believe I was working in an affluent area, but out of like, 10, 15 applications per month, sometimes only 2 or 3 go through. And I asked him, I said, I can see a problem here. What could be done to solve this problem? And he said, well, a lot of buyers don't have support. They've got money, but they're not organized. They don't really know how to go about it. But if they do have support, then probably things could change. So that really got me thinking. So I thought, why don't I set up a business where we can work with buyers, literally hold their hands from start to completion. And literally after like a year and a bit in the bank, I said, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, I've got to go. And I quit my job in the bank, and I found someone who was good in property. They started mentoring me, and the journey started from there.
Wow. So did you notice that there is more money to make in property than in banking?
Yes. Oh, definitely. Because in banking, what I wanted to do actually in banking was I wanted to move up to another position whereby you work with high net worth individuals. And I was thinking in the back of my head, is there any way I can build some connections with these people? And then maybe in the future, see how I can leverage. I was thinking about that. But thanks to this customer, just one customer that wasn't one of my customers, but because we spoke a lot, and sometimes he would come into the bank and speak to me.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of it. And he was the one who actually said to me a lot, get involved in property. There's more money to be made. And one thing he said to me that really blew my mind was they were building a block of flats near the bank. And we spoke about it, and he came over and I said, so obviously, that I'm getting involved in property. And he said to me, oh, did you see the penthouse on top? I said, the penthouse. I said, oh, that looks nice. He goes, I just bought one of them. So I thought, well, I didn't see you apply for a mortgage. And he goes, then he laughed. He goes, oh, I didn't use a mortgage. I bought it cash. And I thought, hold on a second. They're going for like 1.2 million around the Golders Green area. He goes, yeah. He said, remember I told you I bought this house. I moved quite a few times. All those houses are worth 1.2 million. And I just thought, wow. So he said to me, Moses, there is money to be made in property. And if you focus on helping people, in return, you become wealthy.
Are you still in contact with that person?
No, funny enough, I'm not, because they were getting quite old.
Yeah.
They were getting quite old. But he was one client, it was one customer who came to the bank the week before I left the bank. Him and his wife came to give me a hug and to say, he's Jewish, said his little prayer for me. And they said, I wish you all the best. And I know you smash it, but just go and help people and, become homeowners.
Give me the address of the penthouse. I sent him a list.
Honestly, oh my gosh, trust me, that would be great. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Let's go back to one thing you said. It's about the difference between renting and buying. Yeah. Let's dig a little bit into that, because that's interesting. And I've seen so many conspiracy theories, about people. Some of them are with it, against it, different debates about it.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that renting is not good? And why do you think that buying a house is the ideal solution?
So I wouldn't first of all say renting is not good, but my thing on it is this: I didn't stock on myself.
Yeah.
And I was renting from 2005 to 2014, just renting rooms and apartments and things like that. And I keep a stock of what I do. I work on a budget. And when it came to 2014, I noticed that I'd spend £77,000 on rent.
Throughout the years?
Yes.
Wow.
So what shocked me was, then when I checked my balance, I didn't have £77,000 in my balance. So that really got me thinking. And I'm like, okay, if I keep renting, I had a 2-bedroom flat, and we were renting a 2-bed flat in zone 2, but we didn't own it. I just thought, will I ever own? So I spoke to quite a few friends, and one of my mortgage broker, thank you to him, said something to me. He said, listen, you could buy your first home and use that first home to buy your second home, and use the second home to buy your third home, and keep growing. And he said, think about it, Moses. You've always wanted to do this. Why didn't you just go buy yourself a house?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, fine. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna delay some gratification in my life.
Yeah.
Moved out of the flat, told my wife, let's move. This is the journey. Moved in with my mum, saved up money in just under 3 years.
Yeah.
Bought a house. Now I know what I'm capable of doing. So I thought, if I kept on renting, so that I started asking other people, how long you been renting for? They told me, someone said to me that they spent, you ready for this number? Are you ready for this number?
Shock me.
£300,000.
In rent?
Yeah.
That would be an equivalent of a flat in Zone 3.
Yeah. So again, just to answer your question, so someone contacted me on Instagram recently and said, I like what you do on Instagram. I like your stuff. I love the fact that you were talking about, buying a house. And we started talking, and she wanted to help her to grow, buying a property. And she said, I was renting in London, and I'd spent £108,000 on rent. I didn't own the flat, and I tried to buy from the council. They would just give me headaches and stuff. I just thought, what, I'm going to save some money and I'm going to move out. And now I bought my house. And she said, Moses, I love your content because now I get it now. I can use this house that I own. I can pull out equity because now I want to do this. But if I was still renting, so I said, okay, I want to ask you a question. What is the return on investment in your rent? I said, you spend £108,000 on rent. What can you get back from that? She goes, well, that went to the council. I said, okay, brilliant. Now you bought a house. She goes, you know what? I like your model because I bought the house. I've added value to it, which you talk about quite a lot. And guess what? I've got equity in the property, which I have a mortgage on. This is not my forever home. But from this, I can pull out equity and do more things and scale. So that's one of the reasons why it's not trying to get everyone to go on a home or keep renting, but it's think, what is my return on investment? If I'm renting for the next 10 to 15 years, and I don't own, plus if you keep renting, because a lot of time people think about, if you rent, you have no liability, you don't own it, maintenance and stuff like that. But if I own the property and there's a mortgage, I could add value to it, pull out equity from there.
And it's my home. No one is going to kick me out of it.
That's it. It's called real estate. It's called real estate. So people to think about it, this is real estate. It's also an asset. So even if I own just one, I've met a guy who the parents had one house. The parents passed away. Just by them literally, no, he didn't sell the house. What they did was they bought out, or I think he bought out one of his family members, and he took out some equity from that's just one parent house, and they bought an investment property up north. So the question I said to him was, if your parent didn't own their house and they were renting all their life, would you have done this? And they will just go quiet. So that's the reason why I don't think it's a bad thing to rent, but my question is, what's the return on investment? But if you own, could you leverage?
Do you know what? Actually, you got me thinking now. I'm just going to go on my bank balance and check how much I've spent on rent.
Do you know what? It's an exercise I think everyone should do, because I've had numbers.
Yeah.
I've had loads of numbers. I have a client right now, and they'll probably see this, and it blesses me because I said to them, you've been renting for this long, and they follow my Instagram. And this month, guess what? They're picking up the keys to the new. And the whole point is, when they get when they get this property, it's not their forever home.
Yeah.
Once they move out, this property will be turned into a service accommodation.
There you go.
But if I'm renting, this is the thing, if I'm renting,
I can't do nothing.
I can't do nothing because the landlord can refinance. One thing that got me, my last note that really got me, was my next door neighbor while I was renting with my wife in Zone 2. One day, this guy, his dad owned the property. It was a flat near the station, and knocked on my door one day. He goes, have you got a light? Have you got electricity? I was like, yeah, why? He goes, oh, I've got nothing. I looked at his meter. He had to use the emergency on his meter. And I'm like, seriously, you rent, you don't even know how this works? I'm like, listen, dude, go to the shop, top up a bit more money, and he'll come back on. He goes, oh yeah, thank you. A couple of weeks later, knocked on my door again. I'm like, dude, what's happening, man? I'm not your maintenance guy. You know what I mean? He goes, wow. Just to let you know, man, I'm going to be leaving. I'm like, why is that? I said, I'm moving out as well. He goes, yeah, my dad's selling the property. So I asked him how much. This was in 2014. He goes, what was it? Council. He goes, my dad's selling it to a cash buyer for £300,000.
Okay.
And I said, what about you? He didn't care. He wanted to take the money. He was like, he said to me, I'm a grown man. Go sort yourself out.
Oh.
So I'm like, his dad owned the flat. We had to give the flat back, but his dad sold his one. got 300k cash. I didn't get nothing. That really, really got me thinking that even if you own just one, if I decide I want to relocate to another country, if I sell this property, one, I'll get my deposit back. That's one. So I'll get so if I put down 30k as a deposit, my deposit comes back to me. And if I live in a property for 5 years, regardless, or 10 years, and we know how UK works, the property will definitely go up in value. Whether we have there's a dip or not, the property will go up in value. If I then sell it and then relocate, not only get my deposit back, but I'll still get some extra money. I'll pay the capital gains tax, but I'm good. But if I rent, so when I left the flat we were renting, we didn't live with any money. But his father sold the flat. He moved out, but dad got money. So that got me really, really thinking.
It's getting me thinking now. Because I'm thinking now, because I've been to the UK since 2014.
Yeah.
That's when I first came to the UK, and I've been renting since. I mean, well, thank God. I mean, I haven't moved a lot. Like I was in the same house, etc. I'm quite comfortable. But then now, well, obviously I do own some of the investment property.
Sure.
But I'm like, I don't own my own home. All I see in houses is like, oh, leveraging, return on investment. If I rent it, like, how much is it going to do, or how much is it going to get? Shall I live in it? Not interested.
No.
But I'm sure if I do service accommodation, it's going to get me this much and this much and this.
Correct.
So I'm not thinking, this or that. It's good that you're getting me.
Let me
get in my head.
Bring another one. So I have a client right now one of my clients who got a house, and before I get any client's property, the first thing I say to them is, I want you to see this property as an asset. And the minute they have that mentality that this is not a liability, it's an asset.
Yeah.
They start thinking differently. So now so some of them, I think, especially those who are single, they're thinking, okay. So I'm like, okay, rather than us getting you a 1-bed, why don't we get you a 2-bed? Like, why is that? I'm like, well, so I said to them, go online, let's do it right now. What is the average room renting for in this area?
Yeah.
$750. Okay, so your mortgage right now is £900? Yeah, okay. So if you get a professional to rent that room for $750, how much are you paying towards your mortgage? 200. And then it's like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, by the way, do you know that you can have this flat, why don't you use it as Airbnb?
Yeah.
They're like, what? I'm like, years ago, I met a lady who actually taught me about property for like a month or so. She was an agent. She was using her own flat that she owned as an Airbnb. While I went to see her one day, a guest was coming in, and I said to her, and this was way back in 2000, I think 2014, maybe 2013. And she goes, yeah, they pay for my mortgage. I said, oh, you got a 2-bed flat, correct? Around, I think around the Old Street area.
Yeah.
Lovely area.
Oh.
And she's like, yeah, this is, her reviews are made. She owns the property and all she does is Airbnb.
Beautiful.
And she's quite known. Her reviews are great. So I'm like, it's yours, but you use it as Airbnb. She goes, yeah, because I get taxed up to this amount of money. So she goes, yeah, they are paying for my mortgage. So the key thing is, what can you do? So don't just, for me, I don't believe in just buying a house and just paying on a mortgage. I don't believe in that. No, for me, it's about what can I do to earn? So before you buy, there must be a goal. What is the purpose of having a mortgage?
Yeah.
If it's just to own a property and just do nothing, then to me, that becomes a liability.
True.
That's a liability for me.
Totally agree. Now there's one of the strategies I'm loving, which is purchase option.
Yes.
And I find it very interesting because actually you're buying without really having to buy now.
Correct.
So that's what I have on my current home. I mean, the house I live in right now, that's the contract I have. And I'm buying in 5 years, a set price that we have already agreed on.
Correct.
Right now.
Correct.
3-bed. I'm still paying the rent, kind of not really that much of rent, but it covers for whatever mortgage the landlord has, and it's got like £200-300 extra a month. It doesn't really, it's not too much, but I'm looking at the long term. What do you think about that strategy?
I think it's a great strategy, honestly. And I think if you can get involved in it, then why not? Because what you could think about it, if you get that property, I'm always thinking leverage.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking, all I think about with property is just leverage. So if you get a lease option, for example, even as a first-time buyer, you could actually use that property to raise your funds. So if there's just me, could I get 2 friends to come live with me and pay me 600 quid, 650 a month?
Yeah.
Per room for a year? Says to them, okay, hey, what are you looking to do? Oh, I don't want to rent. Okay, cool. I've got a nicer house. Would you, as long as everything is in place, the contract is in place, you're not breaking any rules, nothing like that. So if they come stay with me for like a year and they pay me £600 per month, that's 1,200 per month. How much am I paying? So literally, if I'm working, my income is not touched.
No.
So I'm saving my income, and I'm also literally paying down this. I'm literally paying the rent for this property, but I'm also able to save extra funds. So just think, what could I do to leverage? And also, that's another great way to get started, because you could then end up finding a property that you like, that you see yourself owning in a few years' time, and then try your model. Try a strategy. Could I use this property? Would this property be suitable for rent to rent? Would this property be suitable for service accommodation? If I was to then buy this property, could I use it as a care home?
Yeah.
Think about different things. It's always all I get people to think about is, don't just see it as a home where I'm just going to live in there. That's it. That's the old way of thinking about ownership. The new way of thinking about ownership is, what can I do right now to leverage? There's something I read just 2 nights ago that blew my mind.
Yeah, I think I was going to talk. I think we read the same thing, because I was literally about to say, I read an article just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how buy-to-let is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that, because people need to think outside of the box now and be creative with the strategies, the legal strategies, of course, there is out there. So I'm like, why would you buy a house to rent it to get £100 extra, whereas you can earn £1,000? Like, there's a huge difference.
Do you know what it is? I think, first of all, I personally don't think buy-to-let is dead. The reason why I don't think it's dead is because, this is how I look at it. There's still families out there that need homes.
Yep.
Perspective. So, and I think, I have to think of myself, like I'm a family man. So there are people who just, they can't, you think about it, a dad, a father and a mother who's got 2 kids.
Yeah.
There's no way they can rent a room or anything like that. So there's still a market for that. But in terms of the return on investment, I would rather buy, the way I look at it is, if I buy-to-let today, there must be an end goal. So it's a case of, okay, right now there could be a family that want that urgently need that property, but after a year or 2, what am I doing? I turn into, that's why you have to buy in the right area, at the right price. So buy-to-let, I know people are saying it's dead, but the UK population keeps growing. We're now at, I think, 68 million people in the country. So I think 67 or 68 million people.
And we're not creating any more land.
And we live in such a small island. And right now, rental properties are going up. So if I'm going to do buy-to-let, I'll just do a BRR. Because, again, leverage.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the only way I'll do buy-to-let. But right now, I would not just buy a property to rent it out for like 400 quid, 500 quid, 700. No, I'll buy, which is what I'm actually doing right now, buy a rundown property.
Yeah.
Add value to it.
Yeah.
Pull out that money. So even if he's earning that 200, it's still better than what you get in the bank. So if for a family that needs the home, fine, I've given you property, but then I've pulled out my funds. So guess what? I can then use that same funds and buy another property. Yeah.
Capital appreciation
with it. So literally, buy-to-let, I know the word is saying is dead, but not necessarily. I don't think it's that dead, because I think there's so many advanced strategy right now. But we all, because if we don't think about families, the councils are going to struggle.
Yeah.
They really will struggle. So if every landlord think, this is it, I'm no more buying buy-to-let properties, all I want is just service accommodation and HMOs. Well, let's be real, there are millions of families. Think about people who are relocating to the country, bringing their family over here. The NHS, they bring so where do you expect
Well, obviously, of course, I mean, the right strategy for the right property.
Correct.
Obviously, you cannot have all properties on service accommodation. It doesn't work like that. It's impossible. Otherwise, there is no business that's going to be run.
Correct.
And you cannot have all HMOs. The council has to be involved, which is the licensing and all that, which is amazing because things are put in place.
Yep.
So that leaves us with a BRR. So here, it's actually a thinking out of the box.
Yes.
Because you're not just buying to let and leave your money in there and all your, it's I don't think this is I was talking to a landlord the other day and he said, "Oh, I'm tired of being a landlord." And I'm like, there you go.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Exactly. And he was one of the most difficult landlords I've ever had throughout my journey. Not easy to trust people, not easy to give you the keys. He was spending weeks and weeks before giving me an answer. But once I've done one good thing with one property he gave me, showed him that I'm good at, communication, taking care of his properties, doing the inspection in the right way, sending him reports and keeping him in the loop. And he's like, "Oh, I have other properties.
There you go.
Some in Caledonian Road, King's Cross." I'm like, "Oh, tell me more." You see, "Do you want to sell them?" He said, "Yeah, I'm tired. I'm 86. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to sit down, have my naps." I'm like, "Oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you want to sell them now?" He said, "Doesn't matter. As long as I'm not involved." Boom. Purchase this option.
That's it.
How much do you want for it? 360 for a 2-bedroom flat in Zone 3. It's a shared freehold. I'm like,
even better.
I'm like, "Look, I'm happy. I'm paying you 1,300 for it because that was the old price. I'm renting it for £2,000 because of current prices.
Correct.
So 1,300. I'd be happy to pay you 1,300 for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I'll take it off you. How much do you want? 360? Perfect. I'll take it. I'll buy it off you. 360.
Yeah.
In 5 years, that's obviously, Moses, property goes up in price every,
Do you know what? Even it's not even about going out every year. My strategy with my first time buyers is literally when we get you the property within that first year.
Oh, wow.
Actually adding value.
Joe, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What if someone doesn't have a good credit score? Because I know so many people who are in the same situation.
Yep.
They want to buy, but they can't. They just can't buy not because they don't have the money. It's because they don't have a good credit score.
Leverage.
How?
So there's 2 ways you can leverage, and there's 2 ways to do that. So the first thing is, first of all, what we can do, we can actually work with those people.
Yeah.
Because we've actually done it before, where we've worked with clients for like a year. So some of the guys, so we're working them for like a year, and then we straighten up their credit score. And then the leverage is literally, you don't always have to buy by yourself. You could find a family member who has a good credit, and we've got mortgage brokers who we can put you in touch, who can actually get you in the property ladder, literally get you started. Because some of these people who don't have good credit, they've got the money. Just like I said earlier on, when I was working in the bank, in an affluent area, but they would just get declined because they had the money, they had good jobs, but while at university 6 years ago, they messed up their credit. They just thought, "Oh, I'm not going to pay that bill. I don't care." I've come across people who 20 quid, £20. Yes, £20. I'm not paying it. CCJ. "Oh, I'm not going to pay this. Like, oh, this owner's going to mess you. I'm not paying this bill." Really? So you could find someone who has the income, just like yourself, and who literally you could come together and then say to them, and you have an agreement in place. So, "Okay, I'm looking to buy this property. I know you've got good credit. So how about we do this, whereby I'll be the one responsible for the mortgage. So I'll be get a contract in place and then come together, working." And that's what we can do. We can work with those 2 people, get them on the market, and that person know you're just using me right now to buy this property because I'm not involved in it, but you're going to use me. You're going to use my credibility to buy. But then I've got a contract in place with you saying that you are responsible. So once you get the property in 2 years' time, you have a mortgage already, so things are in place. You can take them off the mortgage. As long as your income can still sustain the mortgage, you take them off. So you plan this ahead and say, "You know what? In 2 years' time, what then happen is you would then come off the mortgage." The reason why I'm saying this to you is because I was doing this with another client of mine, literally doing it with someone else. But he just said to me that, "Oh, and I found something I'd like to go rent for a little bit. That's why we stopped it." But guess what? Him and his friend came. We're going through the whole thing. He didn't have good credit, but the friend did. And we could get him a mortgage.
Together or?
Together.
Oh.
And the plan was, in 2 years' time, when the mortgage expires, we know that your income is enough. Because we already knew his income was enough. But we knew his income was enough. So in 2 years' time, his friend could then come off the mortgage. So he then carries on, because by that time, you've paid the banks for 2 years. Yes, we're good to go. So to get started, you might start on a high interest rate, but the end goal again is, first of all, why you're buying this property. So you have a strategy in mind that, okay, I might only leave there for 2 years. I'll refinance. I'll buy another one. Use it as service accommodation. So so we already have that goal started. But you start with this person, and then in 2 years' time, you can refinance, and then you then have the property to yourself. So in those 2 years, you've become credit worthy.
Yeah.
To not just lenders, but other credit companies as well. And then if there's any issue on that, you can actually, funny enough, just last month, a client from Instagram, they had a one-to-one consultation with us, and we saw the credit, and we said to them, this is what you need to do. Contact this company, do this with them. I get a screenshot. Moses, guess what? They've taken it off my credit. And people sometimes don't realize there's information out there that can actually help you. So for anyone who doesn't have a good credit, that's not the end of it. You can actually buy a property with someone else, and after a while, carry on the mortgage. There's always a way.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, look, I want to ask you another question, because it's been in my head for the past 20 minutes.
Okay.
You said that you and your missus, you decided to go back and live with your mom.
Correct.
Right. How was your missus accepting, or how was she receptive to the idea?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So it started from us renting and paying the rent, and then she was when I said, man, we got to buy, because when you rent, regardless of who's renting, when you rent, you don't have that 100% freedom to do what we want to do with the property. So what we did was before we moved into the property, we did a refurbishment. That was actually one of my first refurbs, I think 2012. We did a refurb. So we refurbished the property, thanks to her. And then when we worked the numbers, she was like, this makes no sense. £77,000 before I met you. So when we add it up, 77 grand. So we spoke and said, listen, we need to buy. And she said, okay. She was the one that said, okay, why don't we, speak to your mom about this stuff? So she was quite open to it. And so thank God for, I'm married to an amazing, baby, I love you. Thank you so much. We're married to an amazing woman who actually understands, but who's thinking long term.
Yeah.
So it starts from thinking, this is what I said earlier on. You literally put your pride away. You put your ego away. You delay that gratification, and you say to yourself, okay, what can I do now that will take me to ABC? So, but the A is going to be quite painful. So we said, listen, the house is just there anyway, and she's by herself. So this is going to be quite good. And she said to me, you know what? I'm happy to do this. So she was really on board. She understood the vision. So that's why it's always good to have a vision first. She understood that, you know what? Okay, he's looking to build a portfolio. He's looking to do this full time. He's got me covered. So he knows that, okay, this is just temporary. So
it's just temporary, yeah.
So there's something like, I did an Instagram live a few weeks ago, and I call it, this is my own saying, temporary pain, maximum gain.
Oh my God. You claimed that?
Yes. That's actually my words.
Literally.
Temporary pain.
Moses Bright.
Yes.
Temporary pain.
Maximum gain.
Maximum gain.
And I've been using this for years now. And this is how I've achieved a lot of things. So sometimes I don't care who's watching me. I was married. Think about it. I was married.
Deep,
Yeah.
That's really
I didn't care about what people thought. I didn't care because why should I care? Because guess what? There was a few friends who I spoke to about, and someone was like, you got to move into your mom's house, bro. I was like, yeah. Because then I looked at them like, okay, a lot of you don't even have houses. So I'm going to be the first one to then buy.
How long did it take you?
So we moved in there 2014, 2017, got a house.
Did you have children at that time?
No kids. Okay. And while we were at my mom's house, that's when we had the first child. And then, so I said again that, and then Power Vision, and I said, you know what? Our daughter will celebrate her 1 year birthday in our garden.
Oh.
We didn't have a house then. I just said it. You're working, you're putting, so sacrifice. So you're not going on any luxury holidays. You're not doing anything. You literally, as you're working, you're saving because I'm going to own. And the point was, I said to her, because of the research that obviously because of what I do, I said, by the time we buy this house in this area, by such a time, this was going to be worth. And then I get another one. And which is what we'll do right now. And she's like, let's go.
Yeah. Is she into business as well?
Oh, gosh, man, that lady's an amazing, she's got a business mindset. She's an author. She's written her first book, children's book called The Fly Chick or Fly, about being brave, courageous, and bold.
Girl, you should come and take that seat, actually. We should talk. You know what they say? Behind every successful man, there is a strong woman.
She's very strong.
So I think I should have invited her.
No, no, honestly, you should. She's very intelligent. And every decision I make in my life, she's literally the one who sees, like we were saying earlier on, the men that hunter, we just want to go.
Yeah.
She's always like, okay.
She's the scanner.
She's always scanning, thinking, okay, if you do this, she's like, okay, you know what? This is your strength. You're good at this. You get out of this house. We know we'll be here for this period of time. We're going to work towards this. Okay. And we just delayed a lot of things. There's a lot of things we want to achieve, we want to do in our lives. So we just delay it because we know once you have an end goal in mind, and this is why a lot of the time when people want to buy property, they have excuses. They want to do anything in life. There's always excuses, but just have an end goal in mind and be willing to sacrifice. And that's what she's very good at as well. She's always happy to say, you know what, let us sacrifice right now because we know right now we're in the temporary pain, but we know the maximum gain is going to endure for such a long time.
May God bless your relationship.
Amen.
Well, look, we have a thing in our podcast. We like to play a game. Okay. So we have a Would You Rather game. Hopefully you haven't watched a lot of our previous episodes.
No. No. But I'm thinking like, okay.
Amazing. Great. So we're going to lift the bar a little bit, have a bit of the humor into it. I want to know you. Okay. The real Moses Bright. Yeah?
Okay.
I want you to answer in the split of a second. Okay. Literally. So I don't want to talk to you while you're thinking. I want to talk to your inner self. Okay, well, before we do that, I just want to ask from our lovely audience, if you're listening to us through the audio platforms, Spotify, iTunes, or if you're watching us on YouTube, do not forget to give us a subscribe. Leave all your questions in the comment section down below. And if you have any questions for Moses, or you want to you want to reach out to him, maybe you want to use his services, we're going to leave the links of all his socials in the description box down below. Do not forget to follow him on Instagram. You're on all of the social platforms, aren't you?
Yes, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Beautiful. So we're going to leave a link for all his socials in the description box down below. Without any further ado,
yes,
it's the Would You Rather. So, UK or Nigeria?
UK.
Formula 1 or wrestling?
Formula 1.
YouTube or mentoring?
Mentoring.
£1 million, 1 million followers?
£1 million.
Rob Moore or Samuel Leeds?
Rob Moore.
Paying taxes or no paying taxes?
Paying taxes.
Property consulting or banking?
Property consulting.
All the way. DIY, DFY. Done for you, do it yourself.
Done for you.
Done for you. Lazy. £10 million or going back to when you were 18 years old, knowing everything you know right now?
£10 million.
£10 million?
Yeah.
Money or love?
Love.
Money or family?
Family.
Okay. Do you know what? Let's find out why that is.
Okay, so I think...
Of all of them. So let's get back. Well, some of them maybe.
Sure. For me, the reason why I said... Because I've come across people who are wealthy. But, but someone told me something one day and it stuck with me. He said he knows this guy who their parents are quite wealthy.
Uh-huh.
And for them to see their dad, they have to book in his calendar. That got me thinking. So for my daughters to spend time with me, you got to book my calendar. Like, you got to schedule it in advance just to have time alone with me. And that really got me thinking. And then I spoke to another person who, they had a very, wealthy parents, but their response wasn't, the money's there. I mean, they can drive any car they want. They got houses. Listen, they're wealthy. Yeah.
But don't you think here it's a matter of priorities? Because
it is.
Look, you are comfortable. You're financially free, probably. But you still spend time with your daughter.
I took them on a date last week. One of the father's daughter's date, just with two of my kids.
So, but it doesn't mean she has to book an appointment with you.
No. It was literally, those are memories that I will not be able to buy.
Yeah.
You can have a, now I'm not against money, because I think you need money. In fact, if you live on this earth, if everyone tell you money is bad, they don't like you. Whether you like it or not, you need money, because you need money to do all these things.
Yeah.
So money is important, but it's when you chase after the money at the detriment of your family that they then lose you.
Yeah.
The question I ask myself is, on my deathbed, what would they say about me? I think about that all the time. Would they always say how, oh my gosh, daddy had this money, daddy had this, daddy had that?
Deep.
Or would they say, Dad, you know what? Would I see my kids crying and say, Dad, remember when, would we talk about those special times? Dad, remember when we used to go, you take, because I take my girls individually on a date. I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Oh.
So I would take my 4-year-old on a date, at least on a date. And then I'll take my 6-year-old on a date. And then recently I took both of them on a date. And I was asking my 6-year-old, how's your week been? Because it's half term. And she was just telling me things that had happened in her life. And I said, do you know what?
Precious moment.
I can't buy this. So the money, that's what we have to work harder. So the money is important, but there's one thing money cannot buy you, and it's memories. No matter how much money you have, money will not buy you those memories. So that's why I'm not against it. That's why we work hard. In fact, we want to earn more money.
Yeah.
So we can do more things, because with more money, you can take them to different parts of the world. You can decide not to work for a year. You can give them so I take my kids to school every single morning.
Wow.
That is a blessing, because family, I wasn't raised with my dad. My dad passed away when I was 7 years old. And I vowed when I was 7 years old that when I have my own kids, I'll be a father. So I can't share stories of my father to my kids.
Yeah.
It's a thing that still hurts me to today, because I never had that feeling. I didn't have that. I only spent a year of my life with my father, and I only have just this little precious memory with him. But with my girls now, when my girls tell me, we play a certain game, one of our tooth came out, and then she always says, "That is tooth on the bed, feel out, whatever." Just those things. My daughter told me recently, "Oh, Daddy, thank you for taking us to creams and doing this and that." And I'm like, wow. So you tell me, money can give you some happiness, is important, but if that becomes the priority over family, you can have all the money, but what if the family, I'm like, okay, we don't want nothing to do with you anymore. Who do you spend the money with? Who are you going to spend the money on? So for me, money is so important, but I think family for me is such a big thing, because I want to show my kids that it's important for you to work extremely hard so you can have a balanced life, but don't lose your family.
That was deep.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would have definitely chosen family over money. Probably I would have chosen money over love.
Yeah?
I would probably. Maybe because, I don't know.
Why would you have chosen money over love?
I don't think love pays the bills, or
No.
I don't think it does. I don't think, well, it's necessary, but I don't think it's as important to me, at least. It's not as important as the money. But family, definitely, like my family before anything. I would die for them. I would do anything for them.
Of course.
But for love, to me, it just hurt me. It didn't do anything good, so I'm okay with that.
I guess I think for me, because I mean, this year will be my 11th year being married. And the reason why I chose love is because I wanted to marry someone and build together. Yeah. That was just my own
philosophy.
Philosophy. And the love that I have allows me to chase my dreams. And there's just no holds barred, because we love each other so much that we know we're there to support one another, and then we can make the money together without any animosity or any remorse, any hatred, any envy. It's like, okay, I love you so much that in fact the money I'm making is for you.
Yeah.
So now that's why I said love, because that love means I have peace. You know, people said to me, I can't believe you this age. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't stress. I go to bed every night peacefully, you know, knowing that it's knowing the fact that there's someone next to me that loves me, regardless of my imperfection. It means that, hey, everything I do, and then it then motivates me to even make more, because I know there's a motivation there.
Yeah.
But when you have all the money and no one to love you, and so it's like, well, yes, you got the money, but like you said, love cannot pay the bills, of course. But that love is a motivation. I see it as a motivation. Just the fact that you've got someone who really loves your heart and is there with you forever. Like literally, I'm ride or die chick. Like we're doing this together. You know what I'm saying?
I haven't found it yet.
So for me, I think that's the reason why I said love. It doesn't, like, again, it's just because there's that. I mean, the way she motivates me to do certain things that takes me out of my comfort zone is so beautiful. And it makes me not become comfortable, because you can have so much money and then all of a sudden become comfortable.
Yeah. So because she's very supportive, and obviously you spent a long time together, you know each other very well. That's beautiful. But unfortunately, not every man is as supportive to women, and not all women are supportive to men. Look, if I'm telling you about anything, I'll just use myself as an example. I've had situations where, because I'm doing what I'm doing, I consider myself a successful woman, and I have achieved quite a lot. There have been so many situations where I've been in a relationship and they would just feel like there is a comparison, or like there is a kind of a competition, and they feel threatened by my success or my achievements, and they're like, yeah, we can be together, but you have to stop doing this and you have to stop doing that.
No way.
Hold on a second. When you first met me, you said you love the way I am and you love how, extrovert and all that. Now, what is it that is making you ask me that? I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
I have motorbikes. I love motorbikes.
Awesome. That's great.
And there is this. Listen, I've never told this story, by the way. So there's this guy. I was on a motorbike. I used to work in Selfridges at that time. I used to commute by bike. And there was a bit of traffic in Oxford Street. So I'm getting in between cars, and I got all the way to the traffic. But at the same time, all the other bikes were following my track. So I opened, so I was leading. I was the first. I was leading. And then I got to the traffic light. I stopped. So there's this guy behind me who you can tell from his figure, he's Algerian. Like from his face, it's Algerian.
Yeah.
So he had like a face opened helmet. So I couldn't. And then he was talking on the phone, I think, and then he looked at me and then he scanned me like up and down, right? And then he was like, nice bike. I said, thanks. That all this happening at the traffic light, on the red light. And he said, by the way, how do I get to Edgware Road from here? I'm like, I'm sure you know how to get to Edgware Road, but you're just trying to, you're trying to start a conversation. That's okay. So we started having this conversation. He said, what's your name? I said, Hajar. And he said, oh, that's a North African name. I said, yeah. He said, I'm from Algeria. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Algeria too. And then all of a sudden, the red light became green. Yeah. I said, well, nice to meet you. And I went off,
Yeah.
So, so he tried to follow me and he started honking like, oh, like, just let me like stop, let's talk. I just couldn't be bothered. So I left. Long story short, later on that evening, my phone rings. And I'm like, hi. I said, oh yeah, it's me, Ilyas, the guy who followed you on the bike.
Excuse me?
Thank you very much. I'm like, so how did you get my number? He said, you know what? I've actually asked every single Algerian that I know, do you know a girl named Hajar, dark skin, Algerian, who rides a bike?
Wow.
And it's happened because it was the beginning of my property journey.
Yeah.
It happened that I rented to an Algerian who happened to know me. And he said, "Oh, my landlord is Algerian. She has a bike. Her name is Hajar." And he went on my WhatsApp and said, "Is this girl?" And I said, "Yeah." So long story short, he got my number from there. He started calling me every now and then. And I said, "You know what? Let me just give him a chance and see." 2-3 days later, he's like, "Oh, by the way, you have to stop riding a bike."
Excuse me?
I said, "Hold on a second. I'm going to ask you a question. If I was a girl who was walking downtown, on the road, minding her own business, and you were also walking, and you just see me or notice me, would you have ever been attracted to me?" He said, "No." I said, "Would you ever ask for my number and, just go from Algerian to an Algerian asking if he..."
Research.
Yes. He said, "No." I said, "You spent 3-4 hours looking for my number only because I was an Algerian riding a bike.
Yeah.
And now you want me to stop riding a bike."
Something I've been doing before, which has nothing to do with you.
Literally. What changed? "Oh, no, just because..." And all right, listen, let's stop this here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want nothing to do with you. There were so many people. This was just one example. So many people was like, "Oh yeah, you have now to find a job and stop doing this business." Why would I?
Can I say something about that? So when I met my wife now, one of you mentioned that actually happened. She's very ambitious, Well, one of our dates, when we actually went on a date, in fact, it was my 25th birthday, or 10 years ago now. It was my 25th birthday. Yeah, and we sat down, we were speaking. So I started speaking, saying to her, what's your vision? What is your vision for your life? What are your goals? And then she was like, "Bro, this goal list and big dreams, like massive dreams."
Wow.
And I said, "You know what? I'm glad you have this. All I want you to understand, all I want you to know is this: I'm here for you, and I'm here with you. Forget about the timeline. Never look at timeline. You just never know. It could happen in your 30s, in your 40s. Just hold on to it." And there was a bit of emotion because she said one of the guys that she dated literally told her like her goals are too big. Told her like, "Listen, your goals are too big." And then she's like, "But you are telling me, go for it.
Yeah.
Don't stop." When she was in the book, I said, "Listen, get this book out. Do it." She's up at night sometimes. I'm like, "Put it out. Don't forget about the numbers. Don't look at she's finished the book. She's on the second book." I'm like,
"Is the book out?"
Yeah. So the book is Fly Chico Fly. It's on Amazon. It's an amazing kids book, but it can also resonate to you as an adult.
Yeah.
Because it's about an eagle who's telling the eaglet how to fly. Obviously, eagles are fly in the mountains, and the eagle is quite scared. And it's like, don't be scared. You're an eagle. You can go through storms. So for kids, so this is what we do now with our kids. We'll listen to them regardless of what you're going through.
Yeah.
Understand that, listen, you're bold enough, you're brave enough. So it's a case of like, if you've got those dreams, you've met someone now, and because you think you're just a man, he was trying to show this macho. So those kind of guys, unfortunately, what they don't realize is you shouldn't be scared. In fact, you should be more supportive.
True.
And say, "Haji, you do. What else could I do to be of help to you?" Just that simple question. What else could I do? What other things in life would you like to achieve? And how can I be of help to you? And a lot of time we have to become selfless and think of the other person. If you see someone who's doing quite well, commend them and say, "You know what, Haji, you've done so well. Like, well done. The fact that you've done this, you've beat your team, you've put all this together. Well done. What's the next chapter for you?"
Yeah.
One thing I always said to my wife from day one, I used to ask the question, "What's next?" I said, "After you get married, what's next? You got kids, what's next?"
That's two beautiful girls.
Yeah.
Imagine when now you're raising them on values, on being independent, on having good morals.
Yeah.
Imagine if a man later on comes and just like, "Oh, by the way, you have to stop doing that." How would you feel as that?
They probably would, with the way they are right now, my girls, they would probably have said, "Listen, nah," because they tell me, they know things. They're things that they wouldn't even watch.
Yeah.
Because I was so proud of them. On Saturday.
Yeah.
I came downstairs and like, she's like, my 6-year-old's like, "Dad, don't worry. it's not that you've told us not to watch certain movies. Don't worry about it. That's not what we're watching. So I looked at it. I just said to myself, I went upstairs and I said to my wife, I'm so proud of this girl. The value is there. So I don't have to be there anymore to now be thinking, are they doing this? So if you have this value, it's there, but just support. And I think a lot of time you see when, you know, they call them the power couple because he's so successful and she's so successful, and then they meet. Yeah. They have to be aware of us understanding, okay, if we are to travel on this journey together, one person should probably steer the wheel. Could you imagine if we're trying to drive a car and then I'm turning right, you're turning left?
Oh, of course not. It's not going to work.
So find the men should be able to support. I would do anything for that woman that I love, for my wife, anything for her, because I believe in her dream, and I believe that, you know, that you can do it. Yeah. So you encourage. So regardless of how successful you are, and this, because I get this a lot in property when I'm talking to couples, and then the man is like, nah, we don't want to get involved. And then all of a sudden they did a one-to-one consultation with me, and then I showed them what they could do together. And then now the man is like, okay, let's go. I'm like, yes, support this lady. She wants to buy a house. You are thinking of doing something else. She's saying you guys have spent over £125,000 in rent. So a lot of time, sometimes some men feel like it's a bit of pride, they feel weak. But a lot of time in life, you got to put that pride and ego away and say, what can we do to move forward together? So important.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. You know, that was a powerful share. And I think all women who are listening to us, they need to think twice before choosing your partner.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And men too, you know, men too.
Works both ways.
Absolutely. But look, you said Rob Moore over Samuel Leeds.
Yeah. The reason why I said it is because I've got respect.
You know they have a fight, right?
I know. I mean, I've got respect for both of them. I don't know them personally.
Yeah.
The reason why I said Rob Moore was because I knew Rob Moore before I knew Samuel Leeds. And whether you like it or not, they're both great at what they do, but there's a level of experience. There's still something that Rob Moore knows, and there's still things that Samuel Leeds knows. So I respect them both, but I know that, you know, they're not my friends, but I look at, you got to give respect to someone who's survived. Do you understand? If you've gone through the jungle, imagine you've gone through the Amazon jungle, there's anacondas, is there. So the anacondas are like the credit crunch, the this and that. These guys have survived, but they're still going. Yeah. Still relevant. You got to you can't disrespect that.
Beautiful. You said paying taxes?
I know. A lot of people don't want to pay, but you know, but we got to pay tax at the end of the day, because I think there's other people who benefit. Not focusing on the government, but some of the taxes that we pay help towards certain things that we do. When you pay your council tax, the guys who collect your beans.
I think you're too kind, Moses.
I know. You got to think humanity.
This way.
Humanity, yeah.
It's not even going to the right.
I know, but sometimes but think about it, if we pay no tax whatsoever, the reason why I said paying tax is because it's something called the money cycle in economics. It goes round. Yeah. So the government will give money to those guys and benefits. Those guys and benefits will go to the shop and spend the money, buying the big TVs and living the lifestyle of the wealthy, even though they're not. But guess what? Then those guys then buy those goods. Those guys then pay the taxes. It just goes round. So, but if there's no tax, it will cut the cycle short. So I think taxes, you know, but obviously when you're an entrepreneur, you're a business person, you don't pay as much tax as those.
But look at Dubai, for example. People don't pay tax, but they still live in. No one suffers.
No one does. I mean, what the government could do, they could probably reduce the tax, which would be quite helpful, because if you reduce the tax, that more people will do more things. Just like, you know, with all the legislation coming towards landlords. If you really sit down, it's sometimes a bit of common sense. Just sit down with like 1,000 landlords and say, hey, what can we do to change the property market in this country? And hear the hearts of those who are paying money. This is why I would love to have a conversation with landlords and renters in the same room, to say, you don't pay, literally go understand the pain that they go through. So if taxes are reduced, it will make people do more. So if imagine you're earning like 5K a month and you're taking home 3,000, it doesn't motivate you after a while. So those, sometimes people think, oh, she's on 6 figures a year.
Oh yeah, but exactly.
They're thinking, I can't wait to come up with the 6 figure a year because I'm working 60, 70 hours.
Yeah.
Just to earn 3K. I see 7K and I get taxed. And I probably earn like 4 grand. Do I want to keep working?
No.
So there you go. So, but the thing is that yes, we're paying taxes to kind of like help society, but I think what it could be done is, change the way we pay tax and see how can we benefit those who pay tax. Something to think about.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your answers. I mean, I wanted to dig on the most important ones.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It was a very pleasant conversation that I've been having with you. How'd you find it?
I mean, thank you so much. It was so real. I love real conversations. And I think when you have conversations like this, you get to hear people speak from their heart. And thank you very, very, very much for having me here. It's been a pleasure. I love conversations like this because it's quite close to my heart.
Yeah.
You can probably tell it's quite close to my heart. The stuff with women and things, the empowerment of women. Yes, I've got 2 girls, but I believe so much in that, family values, money, property. And obviously, like I said, the goal is let's get as much people to become homeowners, but with a different mindset.
Beautiful. If we want to use your services, how do we get in touch with you?
So they can find me on Instagram. For example, you can go on my Instagram at Announced Property. It's very, very simple, at Announced Property. Or they can find me on LinkedIn, Moses Bright. They can find me on Facebook, at Announced Property. So those are the key ways to find me on social media.
Well, Moses, I wish you a bright year. And shall we book you in for season 2?
It'll be my pleasure to have me again. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you everybody for watching this. I've enjoyed it so much. It's crazy how the time flies. Great conversations and real conversations really make it a lot more fun. Do not forget to subscribe. Leave us some comments. If you like this, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on all our social media. It's Hajar Bayaz, the Growth Hack. And it's Announced Property for Moses. If you are wanting to buy, if you don't know how to do it for the first time, if you have any questions, reach out. He's the best person to help you with this. Until the next episode, do not forget to live your best life.